In today's video, we have the minimum ride height challenge on F124. Yes, minimum ride height, scraping the tarmac. Can we overcome this deficit of performance to win the race, or will we fall at the challenge? With that being said, let's get straight into the video and into the heart of the action. Here we are for the F124 minimum ride height challenge. As you can see on the screen right now, this is the setup that we're going to be using for today's video. Of course, the major outlier being 10 on the front ride height, 40 on the rear ride height as well. And of course, the brakes and tires are pretty standard for F124. If you would like to use the setup and follow along with the challenge at home, please feel free to do so. We'll be starting on the medium compound tires, going to softs later in the race, and 29.3 kg of fuel on board the car as we are now starting the race with 5 lights, and it is going to be lights out and away we go in Hungary here. I want to get to the outside line here quite simply, as the AI normally cluster up. I'm going to try and squeeze the AI to the inside here and dummy them a little bit and try to find the gap on the outside curbing, almost running into the back of, I think that was Bottas there, and now gaining the momentum, gaining the speed, and we've been able to get up to P15 already, diving up the inside of the Alpine on the left hand of corner 2, getting back to the power, and we've found ourselves already quite considerably up a few positions. Can we get up the inside of Alexander Albon here? Yes, I think we can. It's a bit of a squeeze, but we just about make it. We have got to make hay while the sun shines here in Hungary, because it's going to be very difficult to overtake after the opening lap. Up into P12 already, P11 up ahead. Obvious statement, I know, because I just said I was in P12, but settling into this race, it's going to be very, very difficult as the stint goes on, because the minimum ride height is of course going to be dragging the floor of the car on the surface of the road as we're a bit slow through there. But maybe we can look up the inside of the AI. Yes, we can. Oh, it's Oscar Piastri up ahead. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult, because we're going to have very bad top speed in the car, and we're also going to have a lot of instability in the car as well, as now we're side by side with Guan Yu Zhou going down the straight. You can see we're in hot lap mode, and we're already losing a lot of top speed, but we do have phenomenal braking ability around the outside. A little bit of contact at the apex, but able to take over the P11 position. Seemingly one of the only cars on medium compound tires in this pack of going from P10, what is all the way to the leading car right now. So obviously we're on the alternative strategy by the looks of it, but maybe it could be helping us later in the race. Have to really focus when driving this car, because it is going to be very unstable, as I mentioned earlier, down into 4th gear for the chicane, and it's all about just keeping stability in the car on this challenge, as any bump, any undulation, any curbing around the track will easily unsettle the car, and we're going to be very much down on top speed, so defending and overtaking will not be easy today in the right-hander. Probably a bit too far back from Piastri to send it like we did on Guan Yu Zhou last lap, but keeping nice and close. I think turn 1 will be a good opportunity for us if we can stay nice and close down the straight, but that will take a lot of battery usage to do so today. As you can see, really they're pulling away from me 4.5 tenths, but we're going to have a little cheeky lunge into turn 1. Big braker zone, the AI leaves the door open, and we've somehow got through that gap without locking up the tyres into the top 10 points paying position. A bit of a lock up there, so a bit of payback for quarter 1, I guess. K-Mag up next, then Yuki Tsunoda on the soft compound tires. My mediums, of course, should get better than their softs as the stint progresses, but I'm not going to take anything for granted right now, especially as we'll be overcutting the AI. As close we can get to the leaders means that the less cars we need to overtake later in the race, and we come out on a fresh, sticky, fast, soft compound tires. If they're on the softs right now, they'll either be going to the mediums or the hards, and that's when the opportunity for us to strike will come into full play through the right hand. And maybe we can look up the inside of K-Mag here. I think we can. It's going to be a bit desperate. There's actually a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, so I'm going to have to lift off the throttle and give him back the position and give him back the advantage. He's still going to have the DRS to Yuki Tsunoda, and now we are going to be looking to complete that move what we originally failed in the final sector by completing it in the first sector of this new fresh lap down the inside. So yes, a bit of contact. I think we probably could have taken the position from K-Mag there if we really wanted to. But yeah, we did make contact with his rear left tyre, and that pushed him off the racing line. So I don't think it would have been completely correct to be pushing him off the line and taking his position in that fashion. Of course, we've been very aggressive so far in this race, but mostly avoiding contact up until that point. Having to lock back in, though, for the middle sector, going in chicane. I really enjoy this middle sector in Hungary, especially when the car is feeling good. Today, the car is not feeling good, but I still do enjoy it. It's really about technique, being about patience, and flowing throughout the corners. Through the right hander now, flat out. The rear of the car is already starting to get a little bit unsettled. 13% tyre dead down into third gear. Use the curb on the inside. Maybe I should stop using the curb so much to adjust for this new the car setup. All the way in the rain gully though on the left hand side. Somehow that actually worked to pull us around the corner, and so far on this lap we've had a pretty decent pace. Opening up DRS on the pitch straight. We do the fastest lap of the race, 16.3. And we are probably a bit too far away from Yuki to have a go at him in turn 1. See how late we could brake, but unfortunately wasn't able to do anything. You're going to focus on saving the battery instead as we go into the left-hander. My forcey back just cut out. My god. Like, literally, like, I'm going to quickly show you on the replay mode. Like, literally going in the corner, you see I do a sudden snap. Like, the forcey back just died. Okay? It came back. Like, I can feel it's back at the moment, but that's a bit weird. Anyway, cracking on with the race. Have to try and regain that sort of pace that we lost, and hopefully that doesn't continuously happen during the lap, because that is, or during the race I should say, but definitely not during the lap. 2 in 1 lap would be extremely unlucky. Getting back into our flow, the rear tyres are starting to hit the point that he can start losing a bit of performance, a bit more sliding through the high-speed right-hander compared to last lap. 4/10s behind Yuki Tsunoda. Bit of rear locking going into the right-hander, but somehow used it for rotation. Too far behind. We wasn't able to make enough time to go up the inside of Yuki on that left-hander, or second to last corner of the track. Up to 90% battery on the exit though, so we're going to hold it down, press and hold overtake, and look to go up the inside of turn 1 with another big lunge late on the brake, just about reaching the corner. And that is what I love about Hungary, because you're running such high downforce. Big braking zones like that can become an opportunity to brake late, still have good grip, minimize the chance of front locking, and get the position locked and sealed. As we're going in to the end of first sector, wasn't able to do purple on that occasion. Sector 2, the car is still feeling pretty decent. In all honesty, a bit of rear sliding on the exit there, but that was more of a skill issue and a driving problem from my side rather than a setup imbalance from the car. Through the middle sector now, keep it in 5th gear, able to get good momentum, minimize the slip of the tyre going for the right hander, lifting the throttle a bit more now just to neutralize the sliding on the rear of the car. Closing in to Ocon on the right hander. Can we be close enough? No, probably not close enough. We're not going to risk it. We're not going to try and risk the contact with Esteban Ocon on this lap, on this occasion. Needed to be a bit closer to him. And now through the right hander, back on the power. We still got 70% battery on the exit, so we can be in a good chance to do exactly the same to Ocon as we did to Yuki. In fact, we're going to be closer and down the inside, almost at the back of Lewis Hamilton, but got the position nicely sealed once again. Bit of overtake on the exit just to seal the deal into the left-hander, really under-series corner. Lap 8 of this race, P7 in the race, so we are making good progress forward. George Russell is leading the pack at the moment, of course, because the other Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton is down in P6. Charles Leclerc, P5, and looking ahead of us, that's Verstappen, P4. What must mean Carlos Sainz is P2, and then I believe we have Fernando Alonso. Carlos Sainz must be P3, not P2, and Alonso is in P2 himself. Maybe that'll switch around soon, and maybe me getting it wrong on the commentary initially might become the truth But what can become the truth is getting past Lewis Hamilton on this left-hander. Doesn't happen, didn't become the truth, was false, was not a fact, but maybe, just maybe, we can get up the inside of the first corner, down to 50% battery. So about every overtake is costing us 20% allocation on the battery usage right now. Nice and close, and just getting the move done. Ooh, that was a bit more adventurous than it normally has been. Lewis is pretty close on the exits, having to use the more overtake button to ensure he can't get back alongside us. Flicking down the gear there, for what people wonder what that might be, is a little, let's say, exploit in the game that when you shift down and shift back up at the end of the straight, it can re-engage the battery charging, the battery harvesting, so it can give you a better ability to get the battery level higher to be using more allocation for the rest of the lap. If you stay in 7th or 8th gear for too long down a straight, then of course the battery stops harvesting, so it's just a nice way to restart the battery harvesting process and to gain a little boost of power before you go down the following straight. Lap 8 of this race now, we've got up into P6 and now looking down the rear wing of Charles Leclerc. It's going to be a bit hard to overtake him on this lap, I feel. I think that, well, everyone boxed ahead of us, so maybe it will be easier than I expected. I was going to say, because I'm down another 20% on battery, and
coming in for his stop now.
I didn't ask, mate. I did not ask. Anyway, getting back to commentary. We are going to be too far behind Charles Leclerc anyway, and it's the first time in a long time I've been able to take turn 1 in a normal way. Getting past Charles will be pretty difficult for the remainder of the lap, so I'm going to focus on trying to harvest my battery and get it as high as possible while in the slipstream and in the very slight turbulent air of Charles Leclerc. So then when we do our overcut, we can have as much battery for the in-lap as possible, and of course following on from that, as much battery to be overtaking cars when we come out on our better stock compound tyres later in the race. Through the right, through the left, a bit clumpy on the curves there, a bit messy. Half a second away from Charles, looking for a good line through here. There's a retiree, and that is going to be a kick. Sauber is in the gravel. Actually, it's not going to be retiring. We're going to take a look at the replay of that. We're looking for a kick. Sauber, I presume it's going to be Valtteri Bottas, has double front locked up, and he is in the gravel playing sandcastles with the, well, I was going to say with the sand. He's back on track now, so unfortunately, won't be a safety car, as a safety car would have helped us quite a lot on the right hander now. I presume Charles will box. We're going to go 1 lap extra. Bottas isn't holding up anyone in the middle sector either, so he did not have an effect to the race, only his. Through the right hander, building back on the power, rear the tyres snapping around, but we're going to need to try and make this in-lap as strong as possible. Obvious statement, I know, because I wouldn't make it as weak as possible. With that being said though, into turn 1, the first time we're going to have proper clean air in this race, and to see what sort of pace that we can be having unfolding during this lap. Into corner 2, I really love this track. It is such a roller coaster. It's a shame that overtaking is so difficult in the dry conditions, because in a qualifying lap and just normal race-to-race laps when you're by yourself, this track is an absolute dream to be on the limit of adhesion, the limit of grip, the limit of power. But as we say that, we have to focus on nailing this middle sector. What's been pretty good so far. A bit of an unexpected snap over the curbing, but the car has been rotating nicely, getting back on the power. You can see the rear tyres are really falling away from us right now. Verstappen, oh, that was a big snap, is 17.2 seconds away. George Russell on the hard compound tyres is P2. Bit of a bottle there maybe for Mercedes to be putting George on the hard compound tyres, considering the mediums were available for him, I presume anyway. But anyway, for us, going into the pit lane for our pit lap, engaging pit limiter soon. Where was the pit lane line? There it is. It wasn't really that distinct. Pretty slow, to be honest, going in only at 33 miles an hour. So that cost us a bit of time, but hopefully it won't cost us much on the track. Going now out, 90% on the battery, well 89% on the battery, as we're going to be coming out of the pit lane limiter. Max Verstappen is clear ahead of everyone else. Have we been able to overcut? No, we haven't. In fact, maybe we have. We've got ahead of Charles. We're behind Lewis, so that's actually very Strange. Somehow we've overcut Charles, but we've lost position to Lewis. And I distinctly remember being ahead of Lewis, and I distinctly remember being ahead of Piastri. Huh? Anyway. No, I can't get up the inside there. It was a bit cheeky of me to be thinking I could have anyway. But we need to refocus, re-engage for this race. Can we get up the inside of Lewis here? It's, no, I thought about it. Don't want to get too desperate now. It's going to be very difficult to catch Verstappen. We need perfect laps from this point onwards to even have a chance at it. Especially because he's running clear laps now. Right, we need to get up the inside of Mr. Lewis Hamilton here. Line him up. Thank you very much. We're actually on the grass on the inside there. Cost us a little bit of time. Because we've got past Lewis there, we can refocus, re-engage to get past Carlos Sainz into turn 1. You can see the soft compound tyres is working a treat, working a dream. 60% battery on the exit. Want to turn this off as soon as possible so we can have as much battery to overtake Piastri, maybe on the following straight, late on the brakes with the soft compound tyres. Close to him. I actually had to brake a little bit more just to ensure that I avoided him. Are we close enough? Not really. That's a bit of a shame. Can we go around his outside? And again, can't do that. Just not close enough to do so. Right, we need to get past Piastri before the middle sector using the overtake button, running up the hill. Gonna be forced the outside line, and we get the position. Thank you very much. See you later, sunshine. Up into P4 in this race. Russell Alonso up ahead. Verstappen has cleared off into the distance, what is not good for us. As I was looking forward to maybe winning this race. It's still on the cards, it's still an opportunity. Right, we need to get Russell in this final sector so we can get Alonso on the pit straight. Oh, that was late. Somehow got it stopped though. 4 seconds to Max Verstappen. Is this going to be fastest lap as well? When overtaking, what was that, 4 cars on this lap? Can it be? Can it be? It is. That's lovely jubbly. 15.4. Alonso goes defensive, but pretty useless, mate, if I'm honest. Just going to outbrake you around the outside and take the apex as I normally would. Thank you very much. Bit of wheel spin on the exit. 3.4 seconds to Max Verstappen. We don't have much battery to play with. On to the power. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can gain on him, even with limited battery. Maybe with limited time as well. Through the left. Right, across the start-finish line. Going to be a new fastest lap of the race. Got the gap down to 2.8 seconds to Verstappen on this instance. Oh, that's a bit too much curb on the inside. More grip than I expected. 1.4 seconds to the cars behind as they continue to fight. Was, of course, only good news for us. 2.7 now. Into the middle sector. Corner cut warning there. Pushing the limits a bit wide there. Pushing the limits too much. Costing myself time. Down to 4th gear. Sometimes it's better to use 4th there instead of 3rd. Although 3rd sometimes feels more natural. 4th gives better stability over the curbing. I feel like these soft tyres are already starting to fade. You can see the car sliding around underneath me. 22% tyre deg. There's a car yellow flag behind us. I would love a safety car. As we've barely taken anything out of Verstappen's gap.
Ocon. They're retiring from the race.
Ocon is out of the race. Unlucky Ocon. We've got to park to the place to make a safety car. That would have been very nice for us. 2.5 seconds to Max now. Let's see if we can do a better lap this time. Take more time out of him. It'll be very difficult though. Oh, that was a big snap of oversteer. Into the yellow flag section. There's Ocon. Everyone wave to Ocon. Bye-bye. But our tyres are starting to fade away. I think the gap to Verstappen may have just been a little bit too big. And I think Verstappen has extended the gap on this lap. We've got 3 laps to go in this race. And Russell was at 1.4 seconds. I think the best course of action, as you can see, another snap of oversteer, 32% on the rear left. The best course of action is more to drive fast, to keep Russell away, because Verstappen, I fear, is out of touch. Too far away from us right now. Bit wide there. Need to be driving better than that. And the hard tyre of George Russell probably, although slower over a whole racing stint, I imagine, maybe bringing him back into contention. If we can avoid him getting DRS on this lap, that'll be golden for us. 1.1 seconds over the spit line. Half a tenth is the difference right now between him getting it or not getting it into the left-hander. It's going to be oh so close. 1.1 tenths. It is about half a tenth over the DRS line for him. We had to send it into the final quarter, carrying more speed than exit speed to see if we can help ourselves. Did Russell get it? It's hard to... Yeah, he did get it. That's unfortunate for us. It must have been so close over the line. 30% battery. Not that much battery to fight off Russell with either. So it's going to be a final lap showdown for P2 in this race. Me, George Russell, maybe Alonso, and perhaps Piastri might get involved in this as well. Turning my focus away from raw pace with my battery usage to try and harvest a bit more ready for that DRS fight. You see, he's faster in the corners, he's faster in the straight. There's not much we can do, but we're going to give it a fight anyway. Up to 49%. Turning off the battery for the right hand at the rear of the car, sliding around. George Russell already looking down the inside of the right hander. We're going to hang it around the outside. If he does that, cost himself some momentum, that'll be very, very useful for us. But I think he's going to stay very, very close to us. Going for the right hander. We're going to need the final corner of the race. Back on the power, using all the road on the exit. George Russell's there. We're having to start weaving, but look at that straight line speed difference. As I talked about before, with the bottom of the car scraping along the tarmac, cost us the top speed, but we go all the way around the outside of George Russell. Late on the brakes. Somehow we got the position back, but it's not going to be over. You saw how much George Russell put pressure on us last lap, and his tyres are only going to be better than ours relatively to before. So, running up the hill to start sector 2. Look at that straight line speed difference. We're quite low on battery, we're low on tyres, we're low on ride height, and we've gone wider than I ever could have wanted. We got hit there by George Russell, as now we're going into chicane. That's built us a little bit of a buffer, in fact. I think you could actually hear my voice there, how surprised I was that I got the contact. Able to save the car. 32% on the battery through the right hander. Going to be using overtake button down the straight. George Russell is closing, but not enough. Down into third gear. Late on the brakes, so sure he can't take a look up the inside. Final 2 corners of the race here. Left-hander, building the speed up through the right-hander. We've gone from last to P2, where we haven't confirmed it yet. Max Verstappen wins the race, running across the line, and we have got P2 confirmed.
Hi girls, thank you so much. It's a tough one. Amazing result. Thank you. I love you all so much.
Look at that. Look at that. Driver of the day. Lovely jubbly. So there we go. Official confirmation here. P20 to P2 with the fastest lap as well. Max Verstappen clearing off into the distance, so he wasn't able to catch him, but held off George Russell on the final laps of the race to clinch our podium paying position. So there we have it. The minimum ride height challenge is now completed on F1 24. I've been Brendon Leigh. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Grazie, Vazazzi. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.